Hello, and welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Steve Van Eiderstein, and thank you for joining me again to come back to March 9th of James Allen's Daily Meditations, and I'm really looking forward to this one, actually, after yesterday's really got me really fired up, which you might seem odd because it's about selfishness, but it gets me riled up because it reminds me that the work is mine to do, and it gives me some things to look for. It reminds me of some things to look for too, and it gives me the opportunity to go out and do some more work. Take the actions, do the work, have the spiritual success in your life, and just continue to move forward. Don't get stagnant in your program. Don't get stagnant. So, but I'm looking forward to March 9th. This will be fresh to you and fresh to me, meaning I haven't read it prior to reading it on the podcast, so I get my genuine response, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading. So here we go. James Allen's Daily Meditations for March 9th. Aspiration, the rapture of the saints. On the wings of aspiration, man rises from earth to heaven, from ignorance to knowledge, from the under darkness to the upper light. Without it, he remains a groveling animal, earthly, sensual, unenlightened, and uninspired. Aspiration is the longing for heavenly things, for righteousness, compassion, purity, and love. As distinguished from desire, which is the longing for earthly things, for selfish possessions, personal dominance, low pleasures, and sensual gratifications. For one to begin to aspire means that he is dissatisfied with the low estate and is aiming at a higher condition. It is a sure sign that he is roused out of his lethargic sleep of animality when he has become conscious of nobler attainments and a fuller life. Aspiration makes all things possible. Wow. I like that. I've never thought of aspiration in that perspective before, I guess. I've never put the words to it like he did here. And I like how he gives the comparisons, again, always. What's the things we're looking for in life that'll tell us what we're aspiring to, if we're aspiring to something, right? Do we want to conquer ourselves, or do we want to conquer the animal part of us, he's saying here, or do we want to live in it? Do we want to live in all of these sensuality and all of the self-serving selfishness and self-centeredness that comes along with that? Because that's all really based in those animalistic behaviors. So it's a good thing to look out for those. What is driving you, right? What is provoking you, moving you forward, right? So what are you aspiring to get? What are you aspiring to bring into your life? What characteristics, what values, principles, things like that? What are you trying to bring into your life? So, I do have to say the way it opened up is interesting. Aspiration, the rapture of saints. I've got to look up the official definition for rapture real quick. Hold on. Just because the noun, feeling of intense pleasure or joy. Oh, okay. So aspiration, the rapture of saints. So the joy of saints to strive, to grow, to move forward in their spiritual life. Okay, that makes more sense now. That's how they achieved sainthood, right? That's how they achieved the qualities that and character that gave people the opportunity to believe them to be a saint. That makes sense. Aspiration is the joyousness of the saint. Is the how do they state it again? The intense pleasure for a saint. Aspiration to a higher and more spiritual lifestyle. He goes on to say, on the wings of aspiration, man rises from earth to heaven, from animal to spiritual, from ignorance to knowledge. Yesterday we talked about how, was it yesterday? 2 days ago. It was, we talked about ignorance and how that's all sin is ignorance. All of that is just the not knowing of a different way. And so from sin to righteousness, really, from the under darkness to the upper light. There's some pretty drastic opposites right there. Pretty resounding dichotomies, if you want to say. Without it, he remains a groveling animal, earthly, sensual, unenlightened, and uninspired. So aspiration's the key for us to step out of these more animalistic, more sensual, more emotional states. More animalistic, the groveling animal, earthly, sensual, unenlightened. That selfish and that self-centered state that we talked about yesterday. Aspiration is the longing for heavenly things. The longing for heavenly things. The desire to be more God-like, Christ-like, one with source, creation, Mother Nature, whatever, however that phrasing will float your boat. The aspiration is the desire for heavenly things. And he says, for righteousness, compassion, purity, and love. Those are some pretty big words right there. Righteousness, compassion, purity, love, purity of thought, purity of mind, purity of heart and intention, purity of body, righteousness, right actions, Christ-like behavior, maybe is a way to say it, or spiritual living. And then love, the genuine love for another human being, the genuine desire for the best for another person, regardless of circumstance or potential harms done or anything like that. Those are the heavenly things that aspiration pushes us to. Those are the things that aspiration will drive us towards. That's a pretty good list of things to be driven towards. Those are great goals. Those are fantastic ideals, principles, values. He goes on to say, as distinguished from desire. We talked about temptation and the desire that precedes temptation, and how temptations are usually the lower nature. And when we have temptation, that means we start beginning to aspire. We are beginning to strive for that more divine life, that more heavenly life, right? So from desire, which is the longing for earthly things, for selfish possessions, personal dominance, personal ego and prestige, low pleasures, sexual, alcohol, drugs, gambling, the quick dopamine thrills that we go for, and thrill seeking like the adrenaline junkies, and sensual gratifications. And food can be thrown into this too, and those are like the immediate feel goods, dopamine, serotonin, the things that just give us that shot of just that chemical reward. It could be sex, relationships, power, prestige, all of it gets wrapped up in that. And when we're longing for those things still, we're still longing for the earthly things. We're longing for a life of turmoil still and misery, because it's still an emotional, feelings-based life. You're still living inside of that tumultuous mindset that emotional living brings you, the instability. So if you're still seeking those things, and that's what your intention and desires to bring into your life are those earthly things he's talking about here, you're not aspiring for a spiritual life. You're still content with resting in the animalistic. He goes on to say, for one to begin to aspire means that he is dissatisfied with his lowest state. He's dissatisfied with the seemingly meaningless rat race that comes with just that sensual desire pursuit, that hamster wheel that we get on of do these things that cause me to be upset and dislike my life, till we get to a point where we have to go and pursue these things that give us this quick contentment and this quick, most of the time dangerous, feel good, risk, feel good, instead of changing how we're actually living. So when you begin to aspire, you're dissatisfied with the lowest state, the seemingly humdrum, or the consumeristic, materialistic lifestyle that is of our animal natures. And you begin to aim at a higher condition, that spiritual life we talk about. It is a sure sign that he is roused from his lethargic sleep of animality and becomes conscious of nobler attainments and a fuller life. So he's equating this really to being asleep, and that can be equated to, in the recovery world, spiritual experiences or spiritual awakenings, maybe, where you wake up out of your animalistic behaviors to engage in a different way of living, a spiritual lifestyle, and you follow a spiritual path going forward. Aspiration is crucial for the attainment of nobler things. What are you aspiring to? He closes it finally with, aspiration makes all things possible. Sitting around wishing things will happen will never do it, but aspiring to and wanting to bring into your life these higher order things, these heavenly things, this righteousness, compassion, purity, and love, will get us the motivation to change, to take the necessary actions to grow in that direction that we want to grow now. The spiritual life, this narrowing path, this life of freedom that I've found. Aspiration makes all things possible. And that's been true for me. So, great reading today. Great, it's motivating, and makes you sit there and take a look. Take a step back. What are you driving for in your life today? What fear and selfishness is showing up? And in what way? These are the hard questions. These are the hard ones that we have to be like, well, that's not necessarily the best thing to be looking for right now. Is it the next newest car just to keep up with the neighbors, or the bigger yard, the bigger house? These things are what we can distract ourselves with for the simple pleasures of temporary feel-good, when there's other work that really needs to be done. So, great reading. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's. They just all flow together so well right now. It's just a very good progression from selfishness into this aspiration. And even before selfishness, it went from the ignorant, all sin is ignorance, right? And then it goes into the selfishness and equating it to that. And then to rise out of that, we need to aspire to a spiritual, righteous, heavenly things. And then we can wake up and we can change. So it's a beautiful, beautiful direction it's taking right now. I'm really enjoying it. So thank y'all for joining me today, though. And we'll come back for March 10th tomorrow. All right. So until next time, thanks.